Gather round, folks, as the crackling fire casts shadows on a tale woven with heartbreak and hope, set in the rugged aftermath of the American Civil War, where the western plains stretch wide and wild. Picture this: a lone widower, Jacob Harrow, trudges through the dust, his weathered boots crunching on brittle grass. His horse, old Bess, snorting softly beside him. Once a man of purpose, riding hard with a family to cherish and a farm to tend. Now he's a ghost of himself, broad-shouldered, calloused hands gripping the reins. Eyes dulled by grief since his beloved Clara slipped away 3 years past. Beside him, the former mayor's mare. Frail Lucy wheezes, her ears twitching at the eerie silence. The air thickens with a strange, burnt scent as Jacob dismounts. His movements deliberate yet heavy. He pushes through the sagebrush, and there it lies, a shattered wagon, its wheels splintered like broken ribs, canvas flapping like a banshee's wail in the wind. Bodies sprawl in chaotic ruin, faces shrouded in shadow, the silence screaming louder than any gunshot. Raiders, perhaps, or worse, men who ride not for gold, but to fill the hollows in their souls with screams. Jacob steps lightly, though the dead have no ears to hear, his gaze catching a small hand clutching a tattered hood. Another man face down in the embers of a dying campfire. The stench of gunpowder and charred wood clings like a nightmare's echo. Then a whisper of breath, faint as a moth's wing. Beneath a scorched cloak, a woman lies curled, her face smeared with ash and blood, hair a wild storm, fingers twitching as if grasping at life or a fading dream. Jacob kneels, not to pray faith left him with Clara, but to listen. Her warmth brushes his calloused palm, fragile yet fierce. She's no girl, but a woman shaped by time, her torn gown revealing delicate lace at the collar, a pearl-buttoned glove glinting faintly on one hand, the other bare and bruised. He lifts her, startled by her lightness, as if loss has hollowed her out. Her head rests against his chest, and for a moment, he thinks she'll wake, but her eyes stay closed. Old Bess snorts at the blood's tang as Jacob carries her 5 miles west to his cabin, a sturdy refuge he built with his own hands after Clara's death, a bulwark against despair. The sun dips, painting the land crimson like a warning, but he doesn't look back. Inside, he lays her on the bed, her breathing shallow but steady. With steady hands, he cleans her wounds, wraps her swollen fingers with oil-soaked linen, wiping crusted blood from her lips without a flinch. Night falls, crickets serenading the dark, an owl mourning the moon. Jacob sits by her side, legs stretched, arms crossed, watching her chest rise and fall, guarding her silence. Dawn creeps in, misty and earthy, and she stirs first a flutter of lashes, then a gasp, as if waking into a memory she distrusts. Her eyes crack open, wide with confusion, scanning the wood stove, the lone chair, the faded portrait of Clara, and Jacob's rifle against the wall. "Don't try to speak," he murmurs, his voice rough as a flood-scarred river. "You're safe now." He offers a tin cup of water, her trembling hands clutching it like it might vanish. She sets it down, studying him with a hunger for more. But he only adjusts her blanket and retreats to his chair. "You got a name?" he asks after a pause. She glances at her gloved hand, jaw tightening. "I don't remember." A lie, he senses, But he doesn't press. Everyone's got their reasons. Then we'll wait till you do, he says with a nod. For 2 days, she speaks little, sleeping mostly, sipping broth, her hands clenched even in dreams. Tears slip silently down her cheeks one night, staring at the ceiling. But Jacob never asks why. He chops wood, feeds the livestock, sits by the fire, his quiet presence a steady pulse. By the 3rd morning, she's strong enough to reach the door, wrapped in his old coat, gazing at the prairie. "You'll catch a chill," he warns, voice unhurried. "I need to see the sky," she whispers, "to know the world still turns." He nods. "It does, whether we ask it to or not." She turns, her storm-gray eyes meeting his noble yet broken. "Maybe I shouldn't live." "But you do," he replies. She faces the hills again. "I don't know who I am anymore." He stands beside her, watching the grass sway. "Then don't rush it. Let it come when it's ready." A thread of trust weaves between them, fragile as spider silk, unspoken. Outside, a raven soars, its wings slicing the dawn like a blade, the land holding its breath. Inside, sunlight streams through the window, catching dust motes in a sacred stillness. She shifts under the wool blanket, eyes fluttering as if fleeing a dream. Jacob stirs a pot by the stove, his shoulders moving with the rhythm of long solitude. He turns at the rustle of sheets, pausing to study her, her breath steadier, cheeks less pale, though a bruise darkens her collarbone like a violet bloom. "You're all right," he says softly. Firm. Her eyes find his, heavy with exhaustion. Not fear. "This is my place. You're the only one left." Her face flickers at the wagon's memory, a crack in her calm. She sits up too fast, gasping, clutching her side. "Easy. You've been through hell. Rest." Not answers. She looks at him differently now, assessing. Wary, not hostile. "How long 3 nights?" "You've drifted in and out." Her fingers trace the blanket's edge, then stop at the singed lace on her wrist, a fragile relic in this rugged cabin. "You cared for me. Did what I could." Why he stirs the pot again? "'Cause someone ought to." She eats the potato-onion soup with quiet gratitude, her gaze lingering on the carved rocking chair, the boots by the door modest, enduring. "You got a name?" she asks. He swallows slowly. "Jacob Harrow." The name feels foreign on her tongue, tucked beside her own buried past. "I'm not the name I'd use," she admits. He nods, not pushing. That night, she helps peel potatoes, her bruised hands unsteady but determined. He pours tea without asking. "You married once he died," she says flatly. He doesn't probe. They sit by the fire, shadows dancing, her fingers tracing the tin cup's rim. Days stretch like taut thread quiet, purposeful. No talk of the massacre. No names. Yet the air thickens with meaning. She kneads dough one morning, flour dusting her wrists like prayers, using the flour Jacob shyly brought from town. That afternoon, he returns to the scent of warm bread, pausing at the door, eyes closed, a tremor stirring his soul. She hums an old tune, slicing him a piece with bandaged hands. He eats slowly, the crust crumbling imperfect, burnt at the edges, yet intimate. Weeks later, he buys a weathered upright piano from town, hauling it home. She dusts it, fingers brushing yellowed keys, playing tentatively the next night. The melody is fragile, sacred, and Jacob leans against the wall, letting it pierce him. Music can feel like breath, she murmurs. He nods. She sews curtains. He carves drawer handles. She arranges wildflowers. He builds a bench. One morning, she reads old French poetry from a book behind the stove. Her voice a river over stone. I don't know the words, but it means something. He says, "It does," she replies. One evening, they walk to the hilltop where a cottonwood stands guard. Why here, she asks, buried Clara's ring here. Thought if I loved again, I'd bring her and tell the truth that I thought I was done. Then you came, ash on your face, silence like armor, and showed me there's more. She presses a hand to his chest. Say it again. There's more. She leans into him, wind enveloping them. I think I love you. Jacob Harrow. And I know I'm Evelyn Darcey. She adds. Under that tree, they're not a widow and heiress, but two souls naming their pain and daring to stay. But the past looms. In town, a man recognizes her dusty yet refined, his voice too polished. Lady Darcey. We thought you dead. Your uncle searching. Her breath hitches. I'm not that woman anymore. He steps closer. What are you doing here? Dressed like a servant, I'm no one. She snaps. Leave me be. He retreats, stunned. Back at the cabin, she confesses. Someone knew me. I'm Evelyn Darcey, daughter of the late Lord Adrian Darcey, heir to Marseille. I fled an arranged marriage, my uncle's choice. That wagon was my escape. Jacob listens, the room heavy with truth. I never meant to lie. You survived. That's not the same. You're not shocked. I see people lie to be understood, or forgiven when they can't forgive themselves. I'm the second kind. She steps closer. And you. Nothing to forgive. I saw you before you spoke. A woman to fix no. One who needs a place to stop running. Her eyes glisten. I don't know who I am without that name. Then you don't need it. You're the woman who plays piano with her soul. Burns bread, but tries again. Sleeps with one hand clenched. The other praying. She trembles. Can I stay? He brushes hair from her face. You already have. That night, she sleeps beside him. Not touching. A refuge. Not a demand. You're safe, he whispers. And she believes it. Morning brings clarity. I don't want to run, she says. Then don't. My uncle might send men. They'd have to go through me. They eat. Talk of skies and foxes. A sacred simplicity settling. At the cottonwood, she buries a sapphire ring from her past, and he takes her hand truth after the dust settles. Days later, a rider approaches sharp, armed, calling her name. Evelyn. Jacob shields her. She's not yours. The man smirks. The Darcey name carries debts. I owe nothing. She retorts. I left it behind. He draws closer, but Jacob's stillness unnerves him. She chose, Jacob says. The man spits, rides off. At the piano, her fingers tremble. I need to do something, she says, burying her past. That night, stars blaze. I thought I'd get lost in the sky, she murmurs. Now I've found someone to share it. I never thought I'd love again, he replies. But you saved me with your staying. Marry me, she whispers. Yes, he says. 1,000 times. They wed under the cottonwood, wind and birds their witnesses. Her handmade gown, his father's boots, their story a vow. But as they sit on the porch, A shadow stirs Clara's portrait falls, glass shattering. A letter flutters out, unread, hinting at secrets Jacob never shared. The past isn't done yet.